We questioned other merchants in the neighborhood. The man at the corner store where Jeff purchased his cigarettes, used bookstore clerks, the owner of the corner coffee house. Jeff's fixed routine was embedded into our brains. But no one had caught sight of him all day. After several hours passed, we had to investigate. This seemed very strange indeed. I tended to customers while Carrie crossed the street and ascended the stairs to Jeff's apartment. Through his third-story front door, she could hear cats scrambling around the hardwood floors, mewing plaintively. Where had Jeff gone? He wouldn't just take off, and he wouldn't leave his precious cats behind. We made phone calls and left messages, the final one by late afternoon to Jeff's landlady. We all had that gut feeling that something terrible had happened. No one actually remembered seeing Jeff since closing time the previous Friday. Monday had been a holiday, so the store was closed. His landlady assured us that she would allow entry into his apartment, however, she would not return until 7 p.m. The remainder of the afternoon was torturous. We trembled any time the phone rang, hoping to hear Jeff's voice. The entire staff had been notified by Carrie. Most of them rushed to the store, huddled around the cash register, waiting. As we padlocked the metal gates across the doors at closing time, Jeff's landlady appeared, clutching a cumbersome ring of keys. Carrie and I followed her into the apartment building's dank carpeted entranceway. Years of urine and mildew stains mingled inconspicuously with the ugly floral pattern. The other employees stayed in the stairwell as the three of us climbed to the third floor. Carrie stopped abruptly in the dim hallway. I noticed her eyes were moist with tears. "Please, you go first," she sobbed. Devoid of expression, the landlady turned the key in the lock. I took a slow breath and walked in. I'd never been in Jeff's apartment before. The barren living room was pungent with kitty litter and stale cigarettes. Remnants of the day's sunlight cut blandly across the shadowy abandoned clutter. I felt like a trespasser, but couldn't help eyeing his vast collection of rare books and record albums and merchandise from the store. The cats had quieted down. The glare of a light bulb came from the left corner. The door to the bathroom was ajar. As I approached, I noticed an obstruction in the light. There was Jeff, slumped on the floor, one hand clutching his stomach, the other languidly extended across the commode seat. Gentle and balding, naked save for a dingy white t-shirt, Jeff lay dead on the floor. For the first time, I witnessed him without his familiar tweed cap and glasses. Carrie's cries echoed through the hallway. I thought how anticlimactic death was. There had been no dramatic build-up or stirring violins, no edge-of-your-seat crescendo, no digital special effects, no parting soliloquy. This was reality. A man alone, drawing his last breath, coiled in a fetal position on a cold bathroom floor. What must have gone through his mind? I recalled Jeff's gleeful recitation of the tale of the silent screen actress Loopy Velez. She staged the most glamorous suicide ever imagined as a finale to her fated career, he had chuckled. Selecting her finest evening gown and encrusting herself in jewels, she posed dramatically in her bed, awaiting the world to discover her elegant corpse. Well, the pills sent her racing to the toilet several hours later, and that's how they found her. That's how they found her. Just like Jeff. Neither of them had planned it that way, but that's how their stories ended. I knew Jeff would get a fine laugh out of that, but then again, he wouldn't be around to share the story with me on Monday. I peered down at his peaceful ashen body and simply closed the door. The autopsy report showed that Jeff died of a massive heart attack at age 49. How ironic that a man who was so terrified of dying from AIDS, who proclaimed celibacy for the last 14 years, had been defeated in the end by sustenance on McDonald's cheeseburgers, coffee, and cigarettes. Jeff had no close relatives and no will. so the store was court awarded to the next of kin residing in the Midwest somewhere. They, of course, had no interest in the business, so it fell upon Carrie and the rest of the staff to liquidate the shop's inventory. We went through all his personal belongings. But we all knew Jeff would have wanted it that way. To his relatives, he was a misunderstood outcast, but to us, he was a comrade. While sorting through his apartment, we each saved as a cherished memento one of Jeff's ever-present wide ties, selecting the most loud and hideous in the collection, recalling each one with amused admiration. Several months later, the store closed its doors. 6 years have passed. I can't help but think of Jeff often. My apartment is still adorned with ornate mirrors, statuary, and unusual treasures I obtained while working for him. Recently, while reconfiguring some furniture in my apartment, I cleaned out that black steel desk. The desk held safely in the store's stockroom years ago. Hidden in the top drawer beneath Scotch tape, scissors, and postage stamps was a $2 bill. I remembered receiving that bill during my days at the little shop. But I noticed some writing on it. In black ink, it plainly read, "Jill, I love you, Jeff, July 12, 1994. Well, that was odd. I didn't recall Jeff writing on that $2 bill or what happened in July of 1994. That seemed to be about the year that the store closed. Intrigued, I went to my hall closet and pulled out my 1994 date book, which was wedged behind bulky coats and suitcases. I flipped through the pages to July 12. Had Jeff given me another bill that day? Had there been a celebration of some sort at the store? I didn't have any other close friends named Jeff then or now, so it had to be from him. I gasped in astonishment. The date book revealed that July 12 was the very Tuesday I discovered Jeff dead in his apartment. The coroner reported that Jeff had passed away during the weekend. So on July 12, 1994, Jeff had been dead for 3 days. The next time I saw Carrie, I asked if she had any samples of Jeff's handwriting. She pulled out a few old Christmas cards. We compared the signatures with the $2 bill, and the writing was identical. Naysayers may search for a logical explanation, but I believe that Jeff merely wanted to bid me farewell by means of the profound objects that he knew I so adored. I'd like to think he finally made it to Portland after all. I have a wonderful little tidbit that I wanted to tell Lauren. So I was in Portland. My band performs up there frequently, and I had become friends with a concert promoter up there who owns a club. So whenever I go up to Portland, I can go to visit him. So I was in Portland last year, and my friend knows nothing about morbid curiosity or any of this stuff. So I'm in Portland, and I go to visit my friend, and I'm at the bar. And he said, "Oh gosh," he said, "you know, I have something, this is crazy, someone left something at the bar." And he went to get it, and he came back, and it was the issue of Morbid Curiosity. And he said, "I was flipping through this, it looked really interesting, and your story's in this, you wrote a story in this." And I said, "Well, which story, which one?" And he handed it to me, and it was The Keeper of the Shop. And it's like, oh my God, I said, Jeff finally made it to Portland. But I just thought that was so beautiful because of any issue, any story, and then my friend found this, and he didn't know anything about it, and I said, hold on to that and keep it in Portland for me.